friends, welcome back. Today is book review, and today we're going to review The Life She Left Behind by Nicole Trope. Trope? T-R-O-P-E. I cannot pronounce her name. Wonder if I could go somewhere and Google how to pronounce it. Anyhow, so it's based on this woman whose name is, I forgot her name, isn't that terrible? Rachel. And Rachel is married and has a little girl named Beth. Beth is 7. Rachel's husband name is Ben. And it goes between Ben's voice, Rachel's voice when she's a little girl, and another person's voice. And you don't really know who the other, well, I kind of guessed about a third of the way in whose the other voice was. It kind of leaves it open-ended. It doesn't tell you who it is, so you kind of wonder, is it this person or that person? But she did it again. She's very good at leading you through the story and weaving the story in such a way as you, I mean, I couldn't put it down. I think I read it in 2 days because I wanted to know what kept happening, where the story kept twisting, how it kept peeling back and unfolding. So Beth is a survivor of domestic abuse. Her mother took the brunt of it. Her mother was abused. It was horrible. And Beth had an older brother. He was abused. Then it also shaped his personality and behavior to where he was abused, but he also became an abuser to Rachel, his younger sister, and threatening to his mother, because that's what the father reflected and that's what he was used to. So not only did he take abuse from his father, but then he turned around and passed it back to his sister and his mother. And Rachel and her mother are able to get away and run away, in a sense, and lead a separate life, separate from the brother and from the father. And that creates whole other issues. Rachel ends up getting married to a guy that, you know, seems like a wonderful man. He is nothing like her father. He is a responsible, good, reliable, respectful, wonderful husband and father. And their little girl has been raised with a little bit more, she has more freedom and independence than Rachel, because she grew up in a home where there was more balance and less, and there was no abuse, and there was no, you know, out of control anger and control and all of that aspect that Rachel grew up in. She and her husband built a different life for Beth. So on the onset of the book, they are moving into a new subdivision. And in that subdivision, there's their home, and I think one other home a few, you know, ways down. So it's pretty secluded. It's just a gravel road. It's not even finished out. There's like woods. So it's really private. And it was going to be their dream home. They were very excited about it. But at the same time, when they got there, then they realized how secluded it is. And certain things start to happen that make her feel stopped, make her feel watched, and you're trying to piece together who's doing the watching and what is it they want from her and where's it going to go. And that's where the book she does such a tremendous job leading you along the way, putting you in the characters' heads, actually helping you understand the characters, even if you don't agree with their choices or their behaviors, you can at least somewhat understand why they're making those decisions and behaviors. And the twists are there, just like you want them to be. There's twists throughout where you're just like, I didn't expect that. Or, oh, I kind of thought that, but not that exact way. So thank you for giving me still a little, like, there was no way I had the entire book figured out all the way. And I will say, spoiler alert, so if you want to read this book and you don't want to know the end or the outcome, shut the video off now, because I'm going to spoil it by saying something about the end of the book that made it very happy to me, made a very nice resolution, made a better resolution than other alternatives. So if you want to read this book, The Life She Left Behind, and you don't want to know the end, and you don't want it spoiled, please turn the video off now, and then you can come back when you're finished reading it and watch the end of this video and see if you agree with my thoughts. So I'm gonna disclose that right now. So shut it off. So, okay, here we go. Spoiler alert. So at the very end, she and her brother have not talked for years and not had a relationship because they left when her mom left when she was 7, and her relationship with her brother basically ended when she was 7 and he was 13, and she had no idea of his whereabouts. He had no idea of her whereabouts, and they just never made the jump to try and reconcile. Partly because he himself, being abused, became an abuser, and so she didn't know, would he be like my dad and be that way to me? And so she just couldn't reconcile that. But at the very end, they are reconciled, and I won't tell you how, but they're reconciled. And the way it's brought back together in the reconciliation is really quite lovely, because they could have taken it in the end where she, in a sense, excuse my timer for my oven, I'm getting ready to bake, but the author could have taken it in a way where he as the abuser and she as the victim had, you know, revenge. He was killed off. He was, you know, she had a revenge and, you know, dished back out to him what was dished to her. She had her justice, if you will. But instead, it was a relationship where there was forgiveness, where there was reconciliation, where there was now life, where there had been destruction and death. And instead of taking the story in the way of that there was death and their relationship is severed, either because he died or because, you know, they're just separated forever and never reconciled, and then she would carry that regret, that burden, that heartache. Instead, there's reconciliation, there's rebuilding, and it was a really beautiful, unique, and actually happy way to end such a horrible, graphic, really emotionally pulling book. So I loved how she did that. I thought that was an amazing way to end it. So I highly recommend you read this. I love her books. If you see any of her books, Nicole, Trope, anywhere, I recommend, especially if you're a Gone Girl thriller, you know, Girl on the Train, that type of genre. Or like another author that's similar, Lisa Jewell. I highly recommend reading any of them. Kirsten Moglin. I can't even remember all of them, but yes, I highly recommend it, and keep on reading.